hobbies, this is Sushi here from ThirdEyeNuke Studio, and this is a video tutorial showing you how to paint an Astra Militarum Wyvern. This one's going to be painted as it is in camo desert color scheme, but you can change the colors to anything you want. This is just an example of how you could paint it, but it's up to you how you actually choose to paint it. And this tutorial also, you can use it to paint vehicles across the Imperial Guard armies and in fact across all the 40k armies. You can just switch it to what is suitable for you. At the beginning of this tutorial I'm going to show how to do the stripes two ways. So it's going to be blue tack and masking tape. I'm only going to paint the masking tape version, but I will show you how to do both. And towards the end of the tutorial we're going to do weathering. But you don't have to do it. You can stop pretty much around that time and just do a bit of clean touches that I'll talk about later on, and that's it. Or you can go into the weathering and make it look a bit dirtier and dustier. Okay, let's get started. I've primed the tank Chaos Black, and then I've done a second layer of Vallejo surface primer just to fix it, you know, like solid black in all the areas. And now we're going to do a base coat of Desert Yellow. Dilute the Desert Yellow with water, since it's a Citadel paint, and put in your airbrush. You start by doing a mist just to see where all the, you know, highlighted areas are, and then afterwards you go inside, you know, tiles of the tank and just, you know, apply more and more layers to just get to the consistency, the color you want, but keep the areas that initially 45-degree angle were black, keep them sort of darker, don't overspray them. So going inside each tile a little bit. Oh, a little bit oversprayed there. You get what I mean? You kind of lighten the inside, lighter on the outside of each area of the tank. Just give it like a pop sort of look. We'll completely dull it down in the next stage, which is a highlight, so don't be afraid to be quite bright at this stage. After the base coat, I'm going to apply highlight of Bonewhite. Basically, you want to hold your tank in place and apply it at a 45-degree angle just to get more of a highlight, not going into any of the shaded areas, just until the color, your yellow color gets a bit dull and not as vivid anymore. So this is the result so far after the highlight. The next stage would be to dry brush Citadel Dheneb stone. Take quite a big brush like this, get it dry on a piece of tissue, and now with a very confident stroke from up to downwards, just highlight with dry brush on all the edges of the tank. You want them quite, you know, definite, so make sure you're quite confident in your dry brushing, you know, otherwise, you know, the technique will not work. So the next two stages I didn't show, but what I did was to varnish the whole thing with some matte varnish first, and then apply 2 layers of hairspray, making sure, you know, it's dry after the varnish. Then apply the hairspray, dry the first layer of hairspray, then apply this last layer of hairspray, and then dry it and make sure everything's very dry before you get to do your stripes. There are 2 ways of doing the stripes. You can use blue tack or you can use masking tape. I'm briefly going to show both methods, but I will only use one as a final result. I'm actually going to use masking tape, but first I'm going to show you how to apply the blue tack if that's the method that you're after. The difference between the two in terms of visual and why would you want to choose one over the other is that when you apply the blue tack, you know, the edge you get is really, really soft, it's blobby, it's very much like a camouflage, you know, pattern. Whereas with masking tape, which you would usually, you know, you can cut it very, very neat. You have two ways of applying it. You have one where it's a matter of a clean line, or you rip it and you have a ripped edge, and that can be, you know, quite effective as well, depending on what look you're going for. Since I've applied the hairspray and I'm looking to actually chip some of the edges, I think a masking tape would be a more appropriate media for this particular design. So anyway, the blue tag, you know, obviously it's like your usual blue tag you get. Don't apply it very thick, because I feel like when you apply it very thick, you know, you don't see the actual edge very well, because it's very raised. But what you're trying to do, you're trying to block out all the negative space, you're trying to block all the yellow. So when you apply the contrast color, that's where you apply it, between the blue tag. So you would go around. No, like I feel with tanks, you know, some people, you know, have a strip going across like this, just strips of them. I find it a bit pastry-like. I feel like, you know, you have to have a bit of asymmetry in the design. So as much as I will do that, you know, I will probably continue it somewhere else, somehow else later. So doing things like that. So this is more or less, you know, the job done. I would say that it is kind of nice to get like little areas where you just put like a blob here and there to make the edge of the line a little bit more, you know, uneven. It's kind of a nice design. Basically, as you can see, all the areas are left are going to be in contrast. Everything you don't want to be in contrast color, keep it underneath the blue. I forgot to do the guns, but you get the idea of sort of, you know, the look, the sort of the way to do it and how it will, you know, end up looking. When it comes to the masking tape, I'm going to use, you know, rough edges like that, and I'm going to make them uneven. So I really want sort of a very asymmetric design for my stripes. So you basically push the tape close to the tank, so all the edges nice and smooth. And first go around the go around where you want it, and then, you know, if there's any space in between, you can fill it in with extra tape, same as you did with the blue tag. As you can see, it's all finished and taped up now. The strips are quite medium width, you know, it's possible to do them any width. I did asymmetric throughout the strip, you know, from wide to narrow. And I did some going this way, on the other side going the other way. The same on the guns. One side goes one way, the other side goes the other way. So there's a little bit more of a interesting design. I feel that usually looks the best. Okay, let's get to getting those strips painted. Now I've mixed grey, brown and black, and I'm going to apply it to my strips. When you apply it, make sure to push down any tape, because you don't want the paint to go underneath it. And apply it in layers. Apply a thin layer first, then, you know, apply another layer, so you have control over the intensity of the contrast color. Here it is. That's how it looks once I've taken all the masking tape off. So I think it's rather nice. Okay, so you remember we've put the hairspray on to chip off, you know, on the edges of the strips to make it look more distressed. Use a sort of brush that has been worn out a lot, and the hair should be quite tough and short, because what we're going to do, we're going to take some warm water, apply it in the areas that you want to distress the strips, and scratch the brown paint off. make sure you've got a tissue to wipe excess water. Okay, so the water should be quite warm. As you can see, the paint is coming off. It looks more rough, and also it comes off on all the sharp edges of the actual vehicle, as if it's worn out, which is quite nice as well. So if you continue throughout the tank and just do bits here and there, don't overdo it, but just do it enough to, you know, make it look quite distressed. Okay, I'm done with all the chipping. As you can see, I've chipped on all the edges and all the little screws and little rivets and corners, just to expose the yellow, which creates a really nice highlight effect. And I've done a bit of rough edges, but I haven't gone over the top, just to keep it, you know, a little bit cleaner. And after that, what you would do is spray matte varnish. It'll take away the gloss effect you had before, so it's going to be as well fixed. So after that, what you're looking to do is any type of decorational things like the transfers. Also, don't forget to fix those with varnish. And if you want to do any type of stripes, like the stripes at the front, you would do this at this stage. But we're not going to do that. The next stage for this would be now to do the black and black out all the areas we want to be metallic. The areas that you would like to black out would be the tracks all around and underneath, all the little eagles, the end of the guns, the lights and a little area behind the lights. On the side, I would do this little area here, the exhaust sort of windows. At the back, it's going to be mainly all the inside is going to be black. You can leave it a bit patchy to give it a bit of a more, you know, interest in depth. But you know, mainly it's all black, and inside here I would say mainly black as well, because then you'll make it all metallic. Also here where the guys are going to be, also black. Underneath the stairs, I wouldn't black the whole thing, but I would do the stairs and all the little areas, kind of patchy, the hooks as well. Don't forget the little panel, that, you know, stand panel that goes in here, keep it black. For the black areas, I'm using Vallejo black. So basically, just with your airbrush on the tracks, just neatly go in without smothering the around areas. And with areas like the eagle, just be very, very, very gentle. Now I've finished with applying all the black. I actually ended up on this side, I ended up covering the whole area rather than only the little inside bit. So that's how it turned out. So pretty much, you know, leave a bit here and there, just to, you know, not to make it all completely black, and inside of those areas it looks a bit more interesting that way. As for the top part, pretty much did black inside here, like I said, and that's where it ended up looking. Okay, now the next step would be to use Leadbelcher Citadel paint, and we're going to dry brush the black areas. We don't want to smother it was dry brushing, so make sure you wipe your brush very well, but at the same time the result should come across quite silver. So you should go over all the black areas and make sure they're all nice and shiny like this. This is how it ended up. Other things you can do with the dry brushing is to dry brush, you know, lightly over the surface to highlight all the little bolts. And a bit of here and there on the corners. It just gives it a nice edge, nice highlight, more definition to the edges of the vehicle. So yeah, this is how it turned out. Okay. So basically now it's oily steel. Basically do the same thing as you've just done with Leadbelcher, but just, you know, obviously less, because you already have a good layer of silver and you're just highlighting that silver a tone lighter. You're not going to see a lot of difference, but you'll see a little bit of difference, a little bit more shine going through, and that's what you're looking for. And now with a little brush like that and some gold dry brushing paint, we're going to do all the little skulls. So just to change the tone from silver to this type of bronzy gold. So you can do all the skulls. You can do a variation of areas that you fancy to be that color. Like I can do the end of this gun, the flamer, gold as well. I think it's quite nice. And then also inside here there's a lot of variety of details, and I think it will be nice to do the inside of this area gold too, just to give some surface and difference in color inside of that dark area. We're almost complete. In fact, some of you that like a very clean and, you know, perfect look might finish there. You know, it's pretty nice tank already. But if you do want to make it look dirty and realistic, then now I'm gonna do some weathering to dirty it up. The first thing we're gonna do is oil. To imitate oil, we're gonna use Citadel Sepia wash, and with a little brush we're gonna apply it on the emblems. So, you know, go over all the emblems with the brush. There's a few on that vehicle guns as well. And then once you finish doing that, load the new airbrush and apply it in, you know, bigger areas. Apply it on the tracks, inside of that area there, kind of behind the tracks, at the end of the guns, here, here, a bit here, at the bottom. Also, you can apply it vastly inside this area and at the back here. In fact, think where naturally oil will be in the vehicle, and just make it look how, you know, you feel it looks nice, and you don't have to, you know, smother it with the wash, but just kind of, you know, patch here, patch there. It makes a difference. It will look really nice. So yeah, be quite generous on the tracks though, I'd say. Next thing to do would be to dry brush a bit of chrome before we continue with the weathering. Chrome is a very vibrant silver, so be careful not to overdo it. The bits we're doing are the bits that initially were painted black, also over your gold. I mean, unless you want to keep it very gold. But as I say, I'm not covering it. It's just a little shine. Just a little bit, just to brighten up the edges, because it is a very vibrant metallic. So make sure you remove it from the brush quite well before applying And dust here and there as well, just to bring out a bit of, you know, highlight here and there, but not everywhere, just as you feel it looks nice. Now, mix Abaddon black and Rhinox hide to about 50-50 consistency, so it's a medium brown. And we're gonna do some sponging with it. Get a little sponge like that. You could use like a washing up sponge, or this is a sponge from model cases. And basically dab it into the mixture, and then wipe it off on a tissue a bit, and we're gonna apply it to corners and you know, random areas in the tank. Think yet again, where's the tank most likely to have been damaged? Where maybe at the bottom, where there's always pebbles and rocks, you know, damaging the metal, or you know, just generally where you think it looks nice. So I've done quite a bit of sponging there. You can see it's all a little bit older now. Like, it's nice to do a blob of rust here and there, just to, you know, break down all the very little, you know, particles of the sponge. Not just to have the little bits, but also have like a big areas, which is nice. And now we're gonna do some oily steel sponging on top, and that is to create the effect, illusion, as if where the rust exposed some silver metal underneath the paint. And you know, do much less of it than you did of the brown. You only want to literally do just a little bit here and there, because there's a lot of silver already on the tank. And now for the ultimate weathering, we're gonna use some make pigments, and we're gonna weather the bottom of the tank when it goes through the dust and the dirt, and we're gonna imitate that with that. I usually use a mixture of 3: the rust, the dust, and the dirty look, so it's kind of, you know, you can make it a little bit more interesting that way. There's no rule about this, it's a matter of preference, how you want it. You know, at the front, try not to go too far in, go halfway through. Just sort of still keep the color at the top of the area. Also, you can do the tracks here and there, and also the area here, very, very bottom. So once you've done, say, your grey, you can do a bit of, you know, brown. And as well, make sure you put some paper on the table, because that stuff is really messy and hard to get rid of afterwards. It's much easier just to throw the bit of paper away rather than try to clean your table. And the rust is a little bit brighter, so don't use too much of it unless you really, really like the bright rusty look. Just here and there, especially on the tracks actually, they can get rusty. Okay. As an option for the next step, you can use some wash over the dust. It blends the effect you've created in, makes it a little bit more varied in texture. We're using just some water and a little bit of desert yellow, just a blob of desert yellow and mainly water, and just mainly do it at the bottom of the tank, not everywhere, just, you know, in some areas. Like this. The final stage in the weathering is painting with Typhus corrosion around all the screws and around the edges, and you know, everywhere where there might have been corrosion or rust. Before doing that, make sure you finish the little ribbon and the writing inside, because you can do corrosion over it. And also, you might as well paint all the lights the color of your preference here, and here the little light on the screen. I chose to paint it black and gloss, but you know, you can paint it any color. In fact, you can draw a picture inside of the screen if you would like. For the corrosion, make sure to paint around you know, every screw, and really spend time on the detail, because that's what really makes it really nice at the end of the process. You know, you can really just, you know, do a screw and then do a tag down as if it's you know, bleeding, and you know, continue all around it to the extent that you think it might have been aged. And here is the finished model. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and let me know what you thought. Don't be afraid to ask me any questions about any stages of this tutorial, and see you guys next time.